Welcome back to another episode of the Tuckcast. I'm joined by my fellow colleagues, old Shan Dogs over here, Big Diesel, Dale, Blackjack.
Hey,
what's up, man? How's y'all's weeks been? Good? Bad? Great?
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, that's good.
Always.
Excellent.
I got that fresh razor on the noggin. It's extra slick this week. It's good.
Dale's got the shades on for, I don't know.
It's bright outside with all that snow, man.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
Hey, Shannon, you got a
Shannon
haircut
is
today, didn't
still
you?
Got a haircut today. Got the teeth cleaned today.
Jim said your hair looked like it was getting long.
The question is, did you put on some fresh underwear?
Every day.
Every day.
Because you never know when you're going to be in an accident. So if they have to come and get you, the ambulance, you want to make sure you're crisp and clean.
That's good stuff, man.
I mean,
Good stuff.
you know
When
what
you're
I'm
in a
saying?
pinch.
That's right.
When
Absolutely.
you're in a pinch.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure.
So I think on today's podcast, we're going to expand a little bit more on the NC regulations for trout fishing, because we touched on it on that last one, or I guess it'd be a couple of ones ago, and people were a little bit more inquisitive about it. So we're going to do our best to expand on it. I wouldn't call ourselves experts on it, but we deal with it enough that we know too much about it probably. So hopefully we can shed a little bit more light on it for everybody. And we also all have the regulations digest here. If you don't have one, we have plenty of them at the shop, so feel free to swing in and grab one. And this will help you out tremendously.
We can spend an entire podcast on this and still not equal the amount of time we spend answering questions on telephones about can I fish in March.
Yeah. So I guess we'll dive into it. We'll probably do a fishing report. Dale had a couple days on the water this week, so y'all want to do that first, or y'all want to do this and then do the fishing report? What y'all think?
Man, I tell you, Dale, that thing was epic the other day, man. So
I'm still
just kinda
pumped about it. Let's
just
go ahead and
tell-
talk
He's
about
pumped
All
up.
right. Well, give us the lowdown.
Yeah, so we had about an inch of rain, I think, at the Messer Manor there in Dillsboro, Silva, wherever it is you live.
The Messer Manor. That's funny.
Messer Manor Weather Station.
Not to be confused with the Wayne Manor, by the way.
So we had that the evening before this trip, and I called the folks. I said, hey, let's look at maybe starting around noon if we're going to be able to go. And drove around, looked at the river, and it was kind of a 50-50, but I felt like the color of the water was more of a volume on the Tuckasegee than it was turbidity and mud. So we gave it a shot, just a little half-day float, and man, that decision turned out great. So got in the boat, set sail, and in the Webster section, and just under the 107 bridge, started throwing streamers and swinging stoneflies, and fish were really active. So several hookups on the streamer, and lots of black stoneflies hatching, and black and gray caddis. So just a really active afternoon. The bugs were crawling up the oars, crawling on us. It was really, the client was like, man, this is just like fishing out west right now. I mean, it was that thick. It looked like it was snowing, but it was caddis. And he said, man, I've never seen bugs like this on this river. I'm like, yeah, because you're never here in February. This guy always comes in May, and that's okay. But some of these shoulder season months for tourism, there's some incredible hatches out here, and nobody's here to see it. We talk about it in fishing reports, but nobody's here to see it. So 16-year-old Jake doubled up, and that was probably the highlight of the trip. He doubled up with a nice 16-inch rainbow and another 12-inch rainbow, and then the rest was all browns. Didn't catch any brookies. That surprised me.
Not one. Huh?
Not a
weird.
single one. So
Wow.
I wonder how many of those have either been pushed out of the late harvest or swam upstream, maybe up towards the Cullowhee Dam. But now all the creeks look great.
They do.
Deep Creek yesterday looked incredible. Sunday we had some folks talking about how many browns they saw rising on Deep Creek to those blue quills, and looked like Dave, Dr. Dave, shout out, had a really good afternoon up there Sunday. So yeah, it's a really good time to be fishing, and we get these fronts come through bringing some snow, but I mean it's going to warm right back up, and we'll get back in it.
Yeah, that's a good point there, Dale. We talk about the bugs on the Tuck. A lot of people miss, to me, in my opinion, on the Tuckasegee in May, that you need to be out there in the evening time because you can have some epic topwater activity that will somewhat mimic some of that Western style fishing.
Yeah.
Most folks are off the water. It's a half-day trip
It's
or a
like
full-day
banker's
trip.
hours.
It's like, man, they want to be, at the brewery eating a burger and drinking a beer. And I'm like, dude,
That's a good plan, too.
let's start fishing like at 5 and fish till dark, and it can be, phenomenal. You also mentioned the other smaller streams. We've been seeing a lot of our friends that come into a shop on a daily basis, some of their photos. There's places to go fish. You can get into places and fish. So don't let, as wet as February's been, for Pete's sakes, you could fish today. There's nothing wrong with it. So just come. You got to get out here and fish.
I had a guy come in the shop this morning and showed me a picture of about a 3-pound smallmouth he caught on the DH yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. Water temp was 52 degrees.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
A little warm
Good
water.
fishing, man. So that's the moral of the story. Come fish.
There you go. It's good.
Any time of the year.
It's going to be fun.
It beats working. I don't know.
Most times.
What else y'all doing, people? Working? Probably.
So let's get into this, the craziness of the North Carolina wildlife regulations for trout.
Man, I saw a very prominent publication for North Carolina sporting, outdoor sporting, shooting, hunting magazine. I don't really want to name it, but Mountain Hatchery Trout Supported Waters closed the month of March.
Yeah, no other description.
No other description. I mean, it had maybe 40 words talking about the hatchery supported program, which I'm not sure how many miles hatchery supported designation actually is, but I mean,
quite
it is
a bit.
Yeah, it is, but it's one of 6 regulations we have.
Yeah.
So very
6 or 7,
misleading
something like
article.
that.
I commented on the post.
So let's talk about that one. So hatchery supported trout waters, which is, we've got a couple of the tags that you'll see on the trees here. And so it's the green and white diamond. Everything's got a little white. There are a couple of yellow ones, but the green and white diamond. So from August 1st to February 29th, and 7 a.m. April 4th. So basically what that's saying is that's when they're gonna be stocking some of those waters. That's the reason it's got those dates. The 7 a.m. April 4th to July 31st, that's the other times that they'll stock it. So if you guys look at one of these, it says March 1st to April 3rd, 2020, the water is closed. So that the water does not open up until 7 a.m. on April 1st for hatchery supported. That makes sense to everybody? Everybody following that?
Yeah.
It's actually the first Saturday.
The first Saturday in April.
Which is April 3rd or April 4th.
Yeah.
There you go.
In the book. But from March 1st to April 3rd, it's closed
Right.
until 7 a.m. on
Yep.
April 4th. So it's always the first Saturday in April. In that, there's no fishing allowed at all. So it doesn't matter what type of rod, what type of hook, it doesn't matter. You're not allowed
Catch
to fish.
and release.
Yeah, none of that.
If I'm not harvesting fish, can I fish, Bobby? If I'm just catch and release.
Not in those date
Okay.
range.
What if I'm fishing for bass?
No.
Nope. Okay.
All hatchery support trout waters not listed below. No closed season. So basically, that's where it's, no, that's where it's confusing. Is because now you see in the same little paragraph there that there's no closed season. So that's where everybody gets confused because they're like, is it closed? Is it not? What do I do? But the problem is below that there's 2 bullet points that tell you what the no closed season is. So it's the Linville River and tributaries within the Linville Gorge. Those are not closed in the month of March, and the power reservoirs and municipal water supply reservoirs. So reservoirs, I think is how I said that. So basically, some of our reservoirs get fish in the hatchery supported program. Those are still okay to fish. Bear Lake, I think Glenville gets some, right?
Yeah.
The
Cedar Cliff,
yeah.
yeah.
So all those kind of upper headwaters of the Tuck that get stocked trout, those you can still fish in the month of March. It's just basically the rivers around here. So that's where it can be very confusing if you don't kind of like lay out the whole thing and read the bullet points and all that. When you can fish it, there is no size limit, but you can only keep 7 fish per day, and there is no lure or bait restriction. So you can use a treble hook, a quad hook. You can
Stink
use,
bait.
yeah, crickets, worms, stink bait, whatever, little bait fish.
Stick bait.
There's nothing that says you can't do anything different. So that is hatchery supported, the green and white diamond. That makes sense? You guys know this.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'll let somebody else do the next
It's
one.
mostly creeks too. It's sections of the Tuckasegee, and then the smaller creeks. Scotts Creek. What we got, Nantahala, the lower section of the Nantahala. So where the whitewater rafting happens. That's all hatchery supported. So
You got the very end of Deep Creek. right?
yeah, outside the park. Yeah.
Outside the park's about 2 miles. You got Alarka. You said
Conley's
Scotts.
Creek.
Conley's Creek is hatchery supported.
Savannah.
Creek.
Greens Creek.
So there's a number
lot
of them
Wilson,
around here.
A lot of Wilson's Creek is hatchery
Yeah.
supported.
But all you got to do is you go to ncwildlife.org online, go to the fishing tab, and there you can select where to fish. If you'll go, they'll have pictures of all the signage that we have here with us today. If you will select the hatchery supported sign, it will give you a list of all the 26 mountain counties of where obviously it's going to be closed. So if there's any doubt, you can use that information to your benefit. I think the misleading thing about this, in my opinion, I can't give you the exact data, hatchery supported waters makes up only a very small percentage of the waters that we have to fish that's managed by the state of North
Well,
Carolina.
that's what I was wondering earlier. Like, what is that total number of mileage?
Yeah, they might have it in here somewhere. We could probably look through it, maybe find it, but good luck with that.
Yeah.
The next big one, I'll let Shannon go through delayed harvest for you so you guys can understand that one a little bit. So go for it, man. Read through that one. And then we'll do some of the other ones that aren't as prevalently fished, I guess.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Delayed harvest. Obviously, for us, one of the most popular fisheries that we have when we see people walk in these doors at both of our beautiful locations in Bryson City and Sylva, North Carolina. But the white diamond with the black striping, basically from October 1 to the following first Saturday in June, it's only a single hook artificial lures and no trout may be possessed. Now, the state...
That's key. I don't want to interrupt you, but that's key. It's possessed.
Correct.
So you can't go from one fishery, like a hatchery supported, to another with fish in a cooler. They will write you a ticket.
That is correct because, so for instance, if we look here in Bryson City, if you're above the Highway 19 bridge and you're fishing and you possess fish within the regulations of hatchery supported, but then you make your way north of the bridge and come into the delayed harvest boundary, by possessing those fish, you're now in violation and subject to a fine for that. So that's a very good point you bring up, Bobby. The other thing is you don't want to stand in Deep Creek and cast out into the Tuck and catch fish either. We know people do that there.
But swinging flies,
they're
man.
Swinging, man.
Swinging trebles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's catching and possessing right there, whether they're legal or not, boys. But so let's get back to this delayed harvest thing here. So artificial lures, by the state of North Carolina's definition, is a lure that does not. So I'm going to do this here. I want to do it word for word. A lure that does not attract fish by the sense of taste or smell. Okay, that's key. By the sense of taste or smell. And when they say single hook, that means you're not going out there with treble hook. So if you have a spinner, you certainly can use those. It's got to be a single hook. You can cut the trebles. You can make it a single hook. Just keep that in mind for sure. Catch as many fish as you want. Just release them safely. Let them swim away for another day. Now, this is for 8 months out of the year. 8 months, there is a catch and release fishery on 2 sections of the Tuckasegee River and a section of the Upper Nantahala and Fires Creek and West Fork of the Pigeon and on and on and on. Here's what's key, though. Here's what's kind of unique about this fishery. At that first Saturday in June, it reverts to hatchery-supported regulations, which means there's no bait or lure restrictions. You may possess 7 fish a day, no size limit. For 4 months out of the year, delayed harvest becomes hatchery-supported, but that's June through the...
Well, there's something tricky that happens there on that first Saturday in June before noon. You have the kids that are the
youth?
It's the youth, and it used to be 15, but now I think it's 16 and under.
It's
now.
youth,
or is it 16 and over?
It's youth under 18-year-old old. only fishing from 6 a.m. until noon on this year. It's June 6th, which is the first Saturday in June.
Yeah.
So under 18.
I get funny story there. I was fishing Wilson Creek with my father-in-law, John. Hey, John.
Hey, John.
Hello, Dale.
Everybody say John.
Hey, John.
Hey,
Hey,
John.
John. Hey, John.
And, you know, we actually had called Bobby, hey, you want to go fish Wilson Creek with us? And Bobby turned us down. He had something.
This was
wrong.
like 12 years ago, probably.
It might have been 10
It's been a
now.
long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So, we go up there. We're fishing. It's first Saturday in June. We see a mess of people up there, you know, and they all got their stringers. They got their kids out there, and it's like one stringer goes to the cooler, two stringer goes to the cooler. I mean, it's like if there's 3 people, there's 21 fish going in a cooler, okay? I mean, these guys have got the infants with them, counting them for 7, okay? I mean, it's that ridiculous. Me and John were like, let's get away from this. We're
It just
going up.
says under 18. It doesn't say there's a minimum age.
Well, back then it was a little more ambiguous. It said no one 16 and over may be in possession of fish on the first Saturday in June until after 12 p.m. So well, we're not keeping, we're catching and releasing. So we didn't think anything about it. So you know, we find this quiet little place away from all the meat keepers, and we go in there and we're having a good time catching fish and releasing them. And here comes the game warden, and it was a hot. Even down there, it was a hot. So, Officer Hot, anyway, he says, "Boys, don't you know you ain't supposed to be fishing?" Well, I'm reeling it. No, sir, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness, I'm getting that line in as quick as I can. And you know, I said, you know, we're just out here catching and releasing, and he says, yeah, it's the type we like to see out here. You know, you're just doing right, but yeah, you ain't supposed to be fishing. Well, little did I know, this is like the greatest income generator for NC Wildlife in a year. They write more tickets on this day for this than any other time of the year.
I totally believe that.
And they get some good dudes like me and John. Well, John becomes a lawyer.
Instantly, right?
Instantly, John becomes a lawyer, and he's you know, he's like me. I'm like, man, it's not real clear on your diamond there. And well, I think the guy was just maybe going to let us off with a warning. And then I thought, well, maybe he'll only write one of us a ticket. And then John becomes a lawyer. I love you, John. But John becomes a lawyer. Man, this guy, as they say, he scratched us both tickets. So, yes, I have a fishing ticket. It might be off my record now if it's been 7 years. I don't know how that works. But, you know, we had to show up in Lenore and pay the fine or, you know, face the music, take our medicine there. So you live and learn.
So it's easy to do, is basically.
Yeah, just don't, if you're an adult, don't fish that morning, the first Saturday in June. Just take your infant.
Yes.
Yeah,
Take your infant.
yeah. And the sign that we have here is obviously old because it says age 16. But it did like change maybe 2 years ago. to
Yeah, I guess
18.
they've updated it.
Yeah, they've updated it. But even with that being said, there's plenty of waters to fish on that day. I think, you know, we get back to this hatchery supported and delayed harvest thing, and growing up as a kid over in Waynesville, you know, I guess that was the official opening day of trout season, and I think that's why they still do it. It's not really being closed for a month is not really doing anything.
Yeah, I don't really understand it.
Well, we asked them. We I think it was one of those biologists for District 9, and hey, why do y'all close it in March?
So they can have an opening day.
He said because we've done it that way for 40 years, and there can be an opening day. There's no science to it.
Hey, you got to hype it up, right?
I guess.
I mean, they stock 90,000 fish in a delayed harvest in Jackson County. How much more hype do you need?
No, I don't understand it either.
It's usually a
I may
big
be
day
wrong on
for
the
us.
90.
It's a big day for us in the shop.
I think it's like 98 for the entire county.
county,
It's a
yeah.
lot.
I mean, let's think about it for a minute. The good thing about the opening day is it may get some kids and some dads or moms or grandparents off the couch and they go fish for a day.
Absolutely.
You know, so for all the negative stuff that there is with it, especially when, you know, delayed harvest. Yeah, I hear people complain, oh, you know, delayed harvest is over. Well, you know, that first Saturday, you know, maybe there's one kid that may get to fish for the first time that's never had a chance to fish, and they go and they catch a fish and they're hooked from that point on. It could be a great significance for them there, and no sense to complain about, hey, if they're using worms or you know, stick bait or spinners or however.
Spinning ain't sinning.
Not everybody started off with a fly rod in their hand, but if we get that one kid and it does make a difference for them, then it's worth it. I'm for it. 4 months out of the year, for 8 months, man, the fly fishermen mostly have it to themselves because it is most people are fly fishing. There's, it's confusing, but it's a neat program.
Just about 1,000 miles of hatchery supported waters.
For all 34 counties, the western counties.
Yeah, just got.
That's not that much. Really.
That's from Asheville Citizen Times article.
Yeah, it's really not.
According to my source.
According to the source.
There's so much water. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody gets so focused, tunnel vision.
Yeah.
You just get boom, put on the blinders, and you go right to that particular thing. So maybe as an angler, maybe you should look at other opportunities that you're missing.
Yeah. Well, I think those are the two biggest, delayed harvest hatchery, and they're the two most confusing. The rest of them are fairly simple, I guess. You got wild trout waters. There's no closed season on wild trout waters, and I think that's the purple and white. What
It's got the blue band with
blue,
a yellow background.
bluish band, and a yellow background. Okay.
It's like the old Wrangler Dale Earnhardt car.
Yeah, and that one, you got a size limit. You can keep fish, but it's 7 inches or larger. I would err on the size of caution there. I'd probably make sure they're 7.5. And then
It's like the old saying with a flounder, and you put them in the cooler, they get
somehow
smaller.
shrink. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can only keep 4 on the wild water. So that's something and it's artificial lures with a single hook. So make sure you're doing that correctly. Now you can have a dropper. I don't think we mentioned that in any of the other stuff when we're talking about treble hooks and single hooks. That law or rule, whichever way you want to call it, is the difference between a treble and a single hook. It doesn't mean that you can't have a dropper. So if you want to do a dry dropper or a tandem nymph rig or something like that, don't get that confused with the single hook thing.
They are working for the 2021 regulations define that. It came out in the proposed rule changes for this year.
Yeah.
That a treble hook is defined as a hook. You ready for this? A hook with 3 points.
Wow.
And a single hook
Boom.
is a single with 1 hook.
1 point.
1 point.
1 point. That's good
Yes.
stuff.
Interesting.
The other
Yeah.
part of that too, Bobby.
We had to pull lawyers into this. That's unbelievable.
the other thing, and I was talking to wildlife representatives in the North Carolina waters. Even though it's a single hook artificial lure, you can do more than 2. You can do 3. You can do 4 if you can manage it.
Yeah. There's nothing there that says you can't
At
have
what point
one.
do you bubble fish?
I mean, absolutely. I've seen people do 3, but yeah, that's a good point there that we failed to mention, or I failed to mention.
I
there.
think it's just one of those that we got to come across and throw in there. So then we've got wild trout natural bait waters. There's not a lot of these. I don't feel like
Not around our
not around here. I'm not as familiar with this, but I mean it's the same criteria. It's 7 inches or bigger, 4 per day, and it says artificial lures or natural bait with a single hook, no live fish allowed as bait. So that means basically no little bait fish. You can use crickets and worms.
No minnows,
Yeah, no minnows.
no minnows.
But I don't.
If
I
you're fly
honestly don't.
fishing, you're okay.
I don't think I've ever fished one of those.
I don't think I have either.
They exist.
There's some in the Wilson Creek drain.
There's some here as well. When I say here, let's just say the Jackson
Swain areas.
up into the Transylvania type county areas as well.
So off of like the Parkway.
So
yeah, you start looking at
Hemp Hill Creek, Hurricane Creek.
yeah.
Wild trout, natural
yeah,
bait.
absolutely. So the thing is, like, if you want to fish those designations, as I mentioned earlier, go to that link and click. All you got to do is click on that color diamond, and it will give you specifically those waters, so you can seek them out and go explore them. There's some great opportunities in those places too.
So in Jackson County, we've got Buff Creek, Chattooga River to the South Carolina state line.
Yes, south down
Fowler Creek, Scotsman Creek. I don't know where Scotsman's Creek is. That's new to me.
there. Uncharted
And
territory.
Wild trout waters, Gage Creek, going into Balsam Lake there, North Fork of Scotts, Tennessee.
So there's quite a few.
Yeah, there is actually when you start breaking it down county by county in
Yeah.
the regulations book, page 36.
Yeah, I've
It's like
never.
my source.
So, Jack, go through the catch and release artificial lures only trout waters. I'll let you do that one, man.
Yeah, that one's not too different from the last two we've gone over. There is no closed season, although you can't possess any trout at all. So there you can fish with artificial flies with a single hook, and you cannot possess natural bait. So there you
This
go.
is the one that's down right there at on the Davidson River by the hatchery, right?
I think you're right. I do remember seeing that.
Yeah,
The Humble Hole, like that
Yeah.
stretch above the bridge right there down to the parking lot for the, was it Shining Rock?
is that the one with artificial lures, or is that artificial flies? Because there's those. Obviously, we're about to go over the next one.
Oh, I might be thinking ahead.
I don't know if that one's flies or lure. I don't know if you can use a lure, like a single hook
That's
rooster
a good
tail.
point.
I don't
What color
know.
sign is it? What color sign is
We'd
it?
have to go to
I
that
wanted to
page.
say it had the red band. I'm not 100%.
Let me find that page.
Yeah, we get into the
Certain,
ones that are yaller with the red on them and yaller with purple.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Transylvania County. I got it right here.
I said yeller.
The
like,
catch and release is
Yeah.
purple.
See if you can find it under that.
like old yeller.
So the artificial catch and release is purple. So
And then there's a red. It's a red and white one. That's the
Yeah.
other one, and I think that's what Davidson River.
That's
is.
right. Yeah, here it is. Transylvania County catch and release / artificial flies only trout waters. So that's
Yeah.
Davidson Headwaters, Avery Creek, excluding these other creeks and Grogan. Yeah, Grogan Creek. That's the one that comes right in the hatchery. So
Yeah. So just to clarify it for
Yeah.
everybody, there's 2 catch and release onlys. You've got artificial lures, which means you can use a lure or a fly, and then you've got just artificial flies, which basically means you can only use a fly rod. I guess you could throw a fly on a spinning rod, though. You know,
bubble fish. You could bubble fish.
yeah. So you could do it that way too, but that can be confusing. I mean, that's another one. We don't have those around here very close to us, so we don't fish those a lot. But I could see how that could be super confusing to somebody. So you think they'd make it a little easier? I don't know. I don't know how else you word it, but who knows? And then you've got special regulation trout waters. I don't know.
I don't think we have any around
I don't
here.
think we have any of these around here, but it has a no close season. You can size limit's 14 inches. Well, that's just in the Catawba River and Muddy Creek to Morganton Water Intake Dam, and you can only keep 2 per day. No bait restrictions.
That'd be our boy Elijah Dale's territory.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
what's that?
Elijah Dale's territory.
Yeah.
Where that's
Yeah.
at.
So that one looks like that's kind of a
heard my
very
name.
exclusive one because it looks like there might be only 2 spots: the Catawba River, Muddy Creek to Morganton, and the Appalachia. Is that how you say that?
Appalachia.
Appalachia
Appalachia. I don't know.
Reservoir.
Yeah, it's Appalachia.
Appalachia.
Not Appalachia.
Appalachia.
Chia.
And then the last one we got is the undesignated trout waters. So this would be all the rest of the rivers in the state that don't have a sign on them. It's even up here. So a great example is the Tuck from Bryson City's delayed harvest to Fontana Lake is undesignated trout water.
It's actually all of Swain County tuck water,
Isn't
it? It's from
Other than the
county
delayed
line.
harvest, yeah.
Right, yeah. So above and below, as long as you're in Swain
Yeah.
County.
So there is no size limit, and you can keep 7 per day if you catch a trout. And there's no bait restrictions. So that's one that I actually get, at least I've had it in the shop, a lot of questions about, like, if there's no designation, how do you fish it for trout? That's it right there. No size limit, no bait restrictions, 7 per day.
Another good one would be Caney Fork. That one is undesignated as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about this river. You
We're talking about Candy
Yeah?
Fork in Tennessee?
Yeah, you only cross it like 4 times on 40, folks.
Can we think of any other notable ones?
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I
Yeah.
can't right
don't know.
now. Put me on the spot.
So, trout stamps or no? Do you need trout stamp?
No
What's the
trout
deal
stamp.
there?
No.
You know, the trout stamp thing is interesting, for us. Golly, they did away with it September 1. Didn't tell nobody till October.
Well, what never really a stamp either.
It was not. Well, it used to be
Used to
actually.
be,
It
right.
used to be. So when I turned 16, and you used to have to handwrite your license for you, and 16 was like, not only did you get a driver's license, I could get a sportsman's license.
Yeah.
And they actually did put a stamp on it. They had your different stamps, which are actually pretty cool. People would design those stamps, but now they didn't have a stamp. It was just verbiage that they used. But they did away with the trout stamp. And however, there was some price changes on the other license fees. looks like they're compensating the cost of the trout stamp and spreading that out across everybody instead of just a select few people.
That's right.
So from that standpoint, not seeing financials. I don't know if funding
Fish ain't
actually,
free.
if the hatchery programs are getting more money or less money. In theory, they could get more the more people buy a license.
I would imagine they probably took like an average over the last few years and said, if we do it this way, we're going to make more money.
Yeah.
I would
hope.
I would think they probably did some math there, and barring some crazy, weird scenario, they're going to make more money every year.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you currently have a license that has a trout stamp, when it's time for you to renew it, it's going to be different. So don't freak out. It is a change, and if you do it online instead of coming to see us professionals, you're not going to see trout stamp no more.
We use that term loosely.
Experts is what I call it. Professionals is
Come on.
Well, and
experts.
for inland, for resident permits, just if you hunt too, just go ahead and keep going with the sportsman unless you got the lifetime. And I just like it used to be, you had to have as a resident sportsman would cover you also on game lands. That's something wasn't really paid much attention to, but you have to have a special permit to fish on game lands. So that's something around here you do have to kind of watch out for.
Yeah, a lot of game lands for us for sure. Now, here's the monkey wrench in this whole thing we've talked about today.
Oh boy,
Now,
all that to come to this.
Your national park is a different regulation because it's federal.
Good point.
Yeah, we
You know.
we said we were just going to talk about NC, but we should talk about National Park and Cherokee.
And
So-
the reason why I want to bring that up is because these, for instance, the hatchery supported runs right up here on Deep Creek up to the national park boundary. So there's a section that goes from DH, hatchery supported, to national park.
Yeah,
And the
if you go from
beautiful
Tuck
thing,
in,
the beautiful thing about the national park is it never closes, guys. It's a 365-day a year fishery. It is an artificial lure, single hook artificial lure. You can possess 5 fish a day. They have to be 7 inches or longer, of course, with that. So that one there's always an opportunity to go fish very close to our shops that we have. Even if if you're in doubt,
yeah,
there's somewhere to go.
yeah.
And then Cherokee. Cherokee started this thing a few years ago where they started closing and then having the opening day tournament.
Yeah.
And instead of being a month or
It's like a couple weeks.
4 to 5 weeks like the state is, it's almost like a 2-week window now. And for them, it's almost, if you think about it, it's like to kick off the summer. Because, so mid-March, if you drive through Cherokee, you go up Big Cove Road, between that 3rd and 4th week of March, you'll start to see people pull campers in. You kind of see that start to happen a little bit. Spring break's coming. But they do that opening day kind of a tagged fish tournament over there, which if you want to participate in that tournament this year, you have to buy that in advance. You can't do it the day of the tournament this year.
I guess it's gotten that popular.
It has. So
That's the shoulder-to-shoulder fishing.
yeah. So
Y'all have fun
so
with that.
so Cherokee regulations,
Dale's going.
North Carolina wildlife regulations has no
I'll get after
jurisdiction.
it.
No jurisdictions on the tribal waters. So we don't want you folks think that we're trying to represent the tribal waters in these, because it is its own entity. It's its own sovereign nation over there.
Yeah, you got to buy that daily permit. So don't try to use your North Carolina.
I got this real secret spot. All right, and there's this sign on these trees. I don't really know what it means. Wink, wink. But it's purple paint. What does that purple paint on the trees really mean?
I think it actually says in this book somewhere.
That's a trespassing.
Yeah, that's law in North Carolina. That is.
A lot of states actually have the purple paint
That's
law.
right. Yeah, if you do see the purple paint, folks, in all seriousness, respect that. It's basically, instead of putting up a posted sign, they put purple paint on the tree, and that's what it means. So,
Yep.
do pay attention to that, even if it's on a, delayed harvest stretch. And somebody's got purple. You need to honor that. We don't want to make any landowners upset and lose public water designation as maybe public sentiment changes there.
Yeah. One thing on the national park, you may have mentioned this, Shannon. I just may have totally missed it, but did you mention your license, what it covers? Tennessee, North Carolina.
So North Carolina, with your North Carolina valid fishing license, you can fish anywhere inside the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and that being North Carolina side and the Tennessee side. as well. Let's think about this. The Blue Ridge Parkway, for instance, it's the same way in Virginia. So if you're fishing say you're on the Blue Ridge Parkway, you're within the boundaries of the Blue Ridge Parkway. If you're fishing a stream in Virginia that's inside the Blue Ridge Parkway, the North Carolina license is valid there as well.
I did not know that.
That is good to know.
I didn't know that.
Read that a few years ago,
It's right
actually.
here. It says trout fishing on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Does it?
Yeah.
Boom.
I did not know that. See, man, just doing this, I'm educating myself. This is great.
Well, you start looking. I mean, here for us, close by, like the Graveyard Fields area.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a lot of good little streams
Yellowstone
off the
Prongs,
Parkway.
stuff like that. I mean, Jack, the problem is getting a parking spot.
Yeah.
I mean,
People
it's
already
not
know
the
it's
fishing.
there.
It's the problem is getting
Well,
a
it's
parking
great.
spot.
It
It's
is.
not the.
It's a really fun trail to hike.
I mean, it's
Good
it's
waterfalls.
cool. A lot of great history behind that up there. How it got
Mhm.
scarred like that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, any other stuff on regulations that y'all can think of?
Guys, just don't violate. If you see somebody violating, hey, turn them in. Honestly, I mean, we are the stewards.
Light them up.
We have to protect, and they're, if it's not for us kind of policing it, people are going to get away with it. So if we can do our due diligence of keeping that phone number and program it to your cell phone. You see something, pull out your camera, your out of your pocket, get pictures, man.
Don't get shot.
No,
Yeah,
no, I'm not
yeah,
telling you to get shot, but
I
mean,
wouldn't
yeah.
confront
One-
people.
yeah.
I would just
yeah, right.
One thing
Make the
too,
call.
pay attention to these proposed rules, regulations, changes, meetings, hearings that they have. They usually come around your districts in January, February. Maybe they might even start in December. But every year we lose public mountain trout water. There are sections of, especially hatchery supported, it seems that just lose designation, and then it just goes back to the private landowner, and the public loses that access. So,
Yep.
Pay attention to that stuff. Be an advocate for our water, and just do right.
pick up a few pieces of trash. People leave it. If you pick up one or two pieces and everybody does that, that'll help those landowners
hey.
not be mad.
Come fishing in March. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Delayed harvest is going to be rocking. The wild waters will be rocking.
National
the park,
park,
all
yeah.
that stuff's going to be. It's going to be good. So
Let's go, boys.
let's do it.
It's called the Charlie Whopper fly.
The Charlie Whopper. Yeah, go watch
Just
that on YouTube.
crushing it right now.
So we'll do the old shop plug here. Go check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, website, all that good stuff. Tuck Fly Shop, Tuck a CG Fly Shop. If you search those, you'll probably find it on all those platforms. Or give us a call here at the shop, 828-488-3333. And appreciate y'all listening. Y'all got any other things, man?
No?
No, man,
All
that's
right,
good.
well, I guess
That's
we'll
good.
sign it
All
off.
hearts and minds clear.
We're clear.
All right.
Tight
Good deal,
lines.
man. Till
Tight
next
lines,
time.
y'all.